Hi, I'm Brenda, and a software configuration management engineer from Tran, and I will talk about how do we use Git-Fusion in our hybrid Git-Perforce environment.
Hi, my name is Nathan Tran. I am a supervisor for our engineering tools and services team at Tran Micro. In addition to talking about Git-Fusion, we'll also talk about some of the tools and practices that we've developed to enable our Git-Fusion users, Git users to be able to leverage some of the services we provide in Perforce. So today we're going to talk to you about how we support our Git users in our Perforce environment. Do a quick introduction about ourselves and our company. Then I'll hand it over to Brenda to talk a little bit about the state of Perforce and Git in our environment and how we allow our users to and how we actually allow Git and Perforce to coexist in our environment. Then we'll talk a little bit about some of the tools and services that we developed in Perforce to make our users work more efficiently. Okay. Then we'll wrap it up with some conclusions there. So Brenda and I work for the engineering tools and services team at Tran Micro. Our team is generally responsible for a lot of release engineering functions, everything related to build release management, source control systems, testing systems. We also manage a lot of the infrastructures that are used by our QA team for testing, as well as develop tools and methodologies that enable our development teams to work efficiently. Brenda is an SEM engineer in our Tran Micro China office. She's our primary Perforce administrator and also one of our build engineers as well. And I'm basically there just to make sure that we provide the tools and services that our teams need. All right. Okay. Tran Micro is, if you guys don't already know, is a security software company. We were founded in 1988 and have since then become the largest pure-play security-focused company in the world. We're headquarters in Japan, but we have offices spread throughout 6 continents. Right now we have about 5,200 employees with I think almost 2,000 engineers now, as I just recently found out. We developed security software that helps protect users all the way from the consumers to very large enterprises, and that includes 48 of the 50 largest global companies in the world. We have 500,000 consumer customers that are protecting more than 150 million endpoints. So it kind of gives you an idea of some of the scales that our company is working with and the challenges that our engineers face on a daily basis as well. Okay. So over the years, I think we've all witnessed some very dramatic shifts in the way that people communicate and do businesses online. And with those beneficial shifts that we've seen, it's also introduced a lot of security challenges as well for you as consumers as well as businesses. From the very start, Tran Micro has always been there to develop innovative solutions that help make the world safe for our customers to exchange digital information. And that's pretty challenging to try to continue to be that innovative. So we owe a lot of our success to the talented engineering teams that we have. And so it's our job then to ensure that those development engineers can continue to innovate over the time. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Brenda to talk about the state of our Perforce and Git environment and how we allow the two systems to coexist harmoniously. Before I go into that, though, I skipped a little piece. I do want to kind of take a quick survey of the audience. How many of you guys actually are using or are supporting multiple version control systems right now? Wow, that's a lot. And how many of you are specifically using Git or Git and Perforce and are thinking about using Git-Fusion or as well? So quite a few of you as well. And How many of you actually just went to the wrong room? Okay. Well, anyways, I'm glad that you're here, and we'll try to make it worthwhile, even if you are in the wrong room. We do have some swags up here, so at the end of the presentation, if we have some time, we'll open up for Q&A. So if you ask questions, I highly encourage you to try to challenge us with your questions. So without further ado, I would like to go ahead and hand it over to Brenda.
Okay. Thank you, Nathan, and hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. And as Nathan mentioned, I will talk about the current hybrid Git-Perforce environment at Tran Micro and share our experience with you on how do we use Git Fusion in our environment. So, firstly, let me tell you about the current Perforce and Git environment at our company. As we know, there are two types of version control systems. First is centralized system. This kind of systems usually has servers stores all the data while each user can have controlled data access. We use Perforce in this mode. And second is distributed system. This kind of system, in this kind of system, each user holds the full copy of the server's data. And if the server is corrupt, any user can be a server. Like Git. It's undeniable that Git has a faster and more flexible branch mechanism than Perforce. And it's very easy for developers to quickly complete a project using Git. But in an enterprise development environment, we cannot allow users to create any branches they like. We need to make rules and manage the branches consistently. With considerations of many options, we finally adopted Perforce as our standard supported version control system. But as distributed version control system has developed, more developers and teams in our company want to use Git. We surveyed the Git users, and their requirements can be summarized as below. First is to collaborate. Yeah. In some teams, there are some developers who want to use Perforce to develop, while some other team members prefer Git. In this situation, they need to find a way to co-work with each other. Second is Git users want to enjoy the freedom branch mechanism in their local Git repos, while still can push some specified branches into Perforce. In our company, in order to manage all of our project codes easily, we make the rules and we make the rules about the folder structures in Perforce and only give limited permissions for our users to create a branch in Perforce. So Git users want to have the freedom to create any branch they like in their Git repo and still can have the convenience to push specified branches to Perforce according to our company's coding policy. And third is the advanced services that we only supported on Perforce. Since Perforce is our standard supported version control system, all of our services like code scanning, code review, build services, testing, etc. are based on Perforce. So Git users want to enjoy these advanced services while they still can use Git to develop. And last one is sometimes they just need to push important repos to Perforce for backup reason. Yeah. And after evaluating some tools and thanks to Perforce company, we found Git Fusion. And Git Fusion can satisfy our developers' requirements as well as our company. It proved to be the bridge between Perforce and Git. And Git users can continue as normal while enjoying our advanced services based on Perforce and use Git Fusion as a solution. Both Git and Perforce users, all of our project codes are supported by a single versioning platform. while maintaining our IP governance and security requirements. So we know Git-Fusion can satisfy our needs, and this leads me to my next point. How do we use Git-Fusion in our environment? These slides show the structure of our version control system. Since we have about 2,000 developers based in different countries, we have a Perforce server and several proxies holding our Perforce service. And Git users can sync their work with Perforce via a Git-Fusion server. And both Git, in this way, both Git and Perforce users can leverage services that connected to our main repository in Perforce and ensure our compliance with complete coding policies. And as we know, Git-Fusion can satisfy our needs. Then the challenge as to how do we use Git-Fusion, how to maximize the Git-Fusion's advantages. We have two practices that we suggested in using Git and Perforce. First, the practice is to have Git users using Git at the beginning of the project. They can create any branch they like to increase their productivity and have them advance their development quickly, then migrate to Perforce through Git-Fusion. They also need to continue finishing and maintaining the project using Perforce. Using this practice, this method, we can take full advantage of both version control systems. But however, this practice needs our develop team familiar with both Git and Perforce. And second practice is appropriate for Git users to developing Git while some other team members developing in Perforce. Git users can, it allowed Git users to use Git through the entire project lifecycle and share codes with Perforce users through Git-Fusion server. Git is like a client of Perforce. And using this, now Perforce and Git can co-work together. And as I said before, Git users can create any branch they like in their Git repo. So the branches can be completely different. But in our company, in order to manage those code lines, we need to make rules and have a consistent code line management. Then this creates another challenge as yet. How can we manage these different kinds of Git repos, Git branches in Perforce? After discussion, we created the following solutions. First, we created a branching model for Git-Perforce users, and then we established a strategy to let Git users to push specified key branches to Perforce. And yeah, that's the solution. And take one branching model in our company we used, for example, just look at the Perforce part. And this is a branching model we use in Tran Micro to manage web application projects. These projects has no need to support old releases, and there are 3 branches in this branching model. Developers can put their code into DV branch when they're developing the project. And then team leaders need to promote their code from DV branch to main branch for daily builds or some other reasons. And this main branch, the codes in the main branch must be complied without any error. And another purpose of this branch is for staging server. And on releasing a project, team leaders then need to promote code from main branch to PRD branch. And the PRD branch is for our production environment. And using this model, Git users must push 2 branches into Perforce. The first branch is the one used for daily builds, the trunk branch. This trunk branch must be pushed to Perforce main branch. And the second branch is the one for production environment, the production branch. I mean the Git side, yeah. And this production branch must be pushed to Perforce PRD branch to keep this PRD branch in Perforce up to speed with the production environment. And if our projects have different project type, we can simply just shape the different branching model and let our Git users to push specified code lines, necessary code lines, to our Perforce branch. So that's my presentation to you about how Tran Micro use Git Fusion in our hybrid Git-Perforce environment. And as I said before, all of our services are based on Perforce. So let's welcome back Nathan to introduce some tools and practices we developed at Tran Micro to help our users work more efficiently. Okay.
Thank you very much, Brenda. So as Brenda mentioned, Perforce is still our officially supported central version control system. So as such, a lot of the tools and practices that we've implemented at Tran Micro to help our developers work more productively is based on Perforce. So this means that prior to using Git Fusion, a lot of the users who were using Git were not able to leverage these tools and services that we have, so such as project management or defect tracking systems, integrated services that we've created. So, but now with the help of Git Fusion, these Git-based project teams are able to utilize these integrated services that we developed. So I'll talk a little bit about some of the tools that we've created to help them work more productively. So one of the integrations that we create or service we've provided is our integration with our defect tracking system. So I know that a lot of companies already have integration with defect tracking systems, and there's a bunch of plugins out there that actually make implementation of this a lot easier. But several years ago, prior to implementing Perforce, we didn't have an integration with our, we're using Serena Business Manager, SBM, for our defect tracking system, and we didn't have an integration with our source control system. So it was very difficult for our development teams to be able to track the source code changes that were affiliated or related to some of the bugs that were filed. So when we migrated to Perforce, we saw an opportunity to implement this integration. So this is how it works. So now with this integration, our QA team can submit a bug to our defect tracking system. Once the case comes to the developer, if he deems that there are code that needs to be changed, then the developer, within the defect tracking system, the developers can initiate the creation of a Perforce job. That then triggers a bunch of integration scripts that will go ahead and create the Perforce job in the Perforce system, along with the defect information from the defect tracking system about that case as well. And then from on, once that Perforce job is created, the developers can then link all of his submits from Perforce, and that information will then get synced to the bug case in the defect tracking system. And once the case is resolved, then our QA developers team can then see exactly all the list of files, the change list that were associated with the bugs, as well as the list of all the files that were changed as well to fix that particular bug. Another service that we provide to our end users is around project management. We use a lot of data that we get from Perforce, as well as a number of other systems like our code scanning tools, our defect tracking systems, our testing testing systems, and so forth. And then we created this dashboard for our development managers to manage their project health. So as you can see here, the tool is able to collect, correlate, as well as analyze a lot of the data from these systems, and even compare those analyzed data against some predefined metrics and best practices that we built into the system to provide recommendations or guidelines about, help them manage the health of their project, manage their risks, and hopefully give them a little bit more confidence when they're releasing their software. So just a quick snapshot here. This is the dashboards. It's configured with a bunch of widgets. So we have widgets for, you can see here, there is a line of code analysis widget. So you can see different code sizes for different parts of your product line, and as well as your defect count. There are also daily defect closing velocity as well, so that's helped your project managers to see how well you're fixing your bugs. And here's another look at our line of code distributions. Then you can break them down to different components within the product, so that way you can identify where the risks potentially are as you are about to approach your release. Another one here is more code sizing really as well, and other trends as well. So there's a lot of details, and I think we have 20 plus widgets available. And actually within the system, as I said, we provide recommendations. So if based on their daily bug count velocity, we may provide some recommendations that says, oh, you got to speed up, or maybe you need to pare back on some of the features and so forth that we have. So we do that as well. And we compare a lot of that data with the testing rates as well. So if you, in your code scanning tools, you can say there's some vulnerabilities, and many of them are not getting tested as well, then we make some recommendations as well for that. Another process that we also developed was around localization. So many of our projects actually have to go through localization processes as we release them in many different languages or products. So before we implemented Perforce, our products were released in a manner that the English went first, and then followed by localized releases after that. So you can imagine that if an English version took 10 months to release, and if you had to release that product in 10 different languages, usually each one takes about 10 months or 1 month to complete the localization process. That caused the whole entire release cycle to be about 20 months or so. So that's a long time, especially in the security business. So when we adopted Perforce, we created a branching structure that allowed the English and L10N release processes to be released at the same time, right? But in this process, we did improve it, but there was not enough automation to allow the English files to be shared with the localization team and making it a lot easier. They still needed to be able to put those files into our localization folder, which then our localization team would take those English versions of those files, go get them localized, check them in, do the builds, and so forth. Okay, try to speed up. But now, with the help of triggers in Perforce and so forth, we created a process where we're doing auto syncs. Every time that the developers check in changes into an English folder, triggers will fire off, and they will copy those into the localization folders, and then our localization teams can then go and get them localized. So that really helped improve our release processes and ultimately cut a lot of our release cycles in half for these locally projects. So in closing, as a service organization, Tran Micro tries, or our engineering tools and services team tries to create a productive environment where our developers can release innovative softwares to our customers. But we often have to balance the needs of our users to want to be productive, with our company's intellectual property and security policy. So if you have an environment, which sounds like a lot of you do, where you're supporting multiple version systems, especially with Perforce and Git, we found that Git Fusion has worked really well for us. Of course, in order to be able to do that, you do have to establish some branching models and mappings that allow users to get their data from Git into Perforce as well. So yes, and then to evangelize that a little bit more and encourage people to use a centralized version control system, show them those benefits by creating some of these tools and so forth. All right. Because as I mentioned, Git users were not able to do that prior to this, all right? So, but now that they're able to get their code into Perforce, they can use all of these integrator tools that we've created, all right? So with that, we'd like to thank you very much for your attendance today.